They have all the credit. They have all what we call the money in the world. But this money is only the strings of the puppeteer to get full control of the world.
It's just fake monopoly garbage. Chips they issue to us in their rigged casino. We'll sell it our mothers, our daughters, our fathers, our sons, kill grandma for a stick of bubble gum, and it's all just a fake symbol of energy that we accept from the money changers. So where is this going now that you predicted this 14 years ago with incredible precision, on paper, publicly? What's coming in the next phase if their plan succeeds versus the resistance and awakening that clearly is mounting?
Well, their plan has already succeeded. However, the plan is faulty because what we call the truth movement, the resistance, people who believe in the rule of law, people who listen to the Alex Jones show, people who care.
They've taken over through fraud, so we wake up from the illusion, it's over.
Yeah, the game's this chapter of the game is already over.
They won.
It's over. The European Union is going down. Germany by itself, even though it is doing well, cannot support Greece. Italy.
And it's designed to pull them down in the end.
Absolutely.
It's always invest more so it doesn't sink, and then they say invest more so it doesn't sink, invest more so it doesn't sink. That's the trap, how they, basically salami slice the whole situation.
Now, there's some good news in this. First of all, not all the countries are playing the game. And I got to spend a day in Iceland, and there are 326,000 people in Iceland. It was very, very well educated. The people are great, but they deregulated the banks, and they created, I think, $28 billion worth of debt, and then tried to pile it on the people.
And the people revolted for a year.
And the people revolted and said, hell no, kicked out all the politicians and said, this is not our debt. And then Iceland was in the news big time, and then suddenly nothing's there.
Because they began to win. And then what did we discover? It was true. 90+% of the debt was not theirs.
Yes.
It was the private banks that had bought off their ministers. 4
private banks. And some of these banks were little bitty offices controlled by 15, 20 people. And I was talking to a lot of people in Iceland, and when they first started doing it, they'd walk into a room and there'd be 35 high-priced lawyers, not just from Iceland, but from Germany, from England, from New York, that were all trying to stare them down. But they still have little Viking blood in them.
They called the bluff.
They called the bluff, and they said, not no, but heck no. And so you know what? We can do the same thing. These derivatives are not our debt. They're being sloughed off.
But that's my point. Yes. Ireland is a success story. They're doing great. Everybody's moving there. And as soon as they sign the EU Lisbon Treaty, as soon as they signed on, they had to bring it forward twice.
Right.
Overnight, they said, you're now bankrupt. You've signed on to the euro's debt.
Yes.
And then their bankers, their private Federal Reserve head came out and said, well, this is wonderful that we're signing on to this debt and ruled by foreign banks now. They actually say it, trying to say it in plain view, like, well, you're a guy in a suit. We'll be your slave. Same thing with Greece. So if it's anything, it is the chutzpah, the hubris. I mean, it's just incredible.
And it's all by design. I mean, anybody who has any sort of objective, investigative knowledge could see that not just 6 months ago or a year, but 2 or 3 years ago, this train was going off the tracks, especially with Greece, and then with Portugal, and then with Ireland.
But their scam is, knowing it's an impossible to pay back black hole that's fraudulent, give us more power, give us more power,
Absolutely.
Things get worse. Okay, we'll fix it, give us more power, then it gets worse, give us more power, give us more power. How long can that work?
Well, it can work as long as the people are still in the matrix, and as long as they're still mind controlled. Because the economy, right, what we have right now is a total Ponzi scheme. This thing that we call money is just paper and ink. It has no value. This whole thing called sovereign debt, it's all an imagination. It's like the man, it's like the wizard in The Wizard of Oz. He controls the whole town through images and smoke and mirrors. And it clearly, as we've talked before, real money has value, gold and silver, because it stores
private
value.
property,
hard assets.
But notice now, a piece of land, you pay a property tax. It's really a feudal rent. You don't really own it. Gold and silver are one of the few things you can still physically hold. Then there's physical power. There's the Second Amendment. All of these real things that a freehold, free man or woman has are under assault by the globalist, and it's a simple corporate takeover model. Anything that stands alone, anything that's independent, is an enemy of this globalist board. The family, national sovereignty, ideas, health. This is literally a global spirit of destruction.
Look, we're at the end game. I mean, you and I have been talking about this stuff for a long, long time. And the stuff that we talked about 15 years ago, it's like, it's so mild. And not only every year, every month, we become aware of more and more and more and more and more. The game is all over as we know it. Just like in the movie Inception, the walls are coming down. And that's okay. But the most important thing is that we, as sovereign, divine human beings, not slaves to the corporate interest, but as sovereign, free, loving people, have to step up and take our power. Nobody's going to come in and save us.
Because if we don't, tell folks where this road leads.
Well, it's at the very best, it's total, complete slave. We're already, most of our brothers and sisters are already slaves to the man. But we're talking about mass, maybe not extinction, but mass wiping out of 60, 70, 80% of the population. And this sounds really radical, but this is their own plan.
No, they say world government is basically the slaughterhouse building.
Yeah.
And they have to finish it before they run us through it.
You know, the souls, the beings, whatever you want to call them, the oligarchy, the plutocracy, the power elite, the Illuminati, this handful of people views us as cattle. And they're in such separation consciousness. But you know what? We don't have to play their game. We're winning. Even though things on the outside in the newspapers, on NBC, appear to be getting worse and worse, we're winning. 20 years ago, we couldn't have had this discussion. Talking about the Federal Reserve was like you were a crazy person. Now, wherever I go, people say, hey, man, I saw you on the show. I saw you on the Alex Jones video. I've read your books. Let's talk about this. More and more people every day. And you know the book, The 100th Monkey, that talks about, at first, if 1 or 2% of the population believes something new, they get laughed at or put down. But if 5 or 6% of the population get it, and it's true, then everybody gets it.
Well, they just did a big university study, came out 2 weeks ago, that if 10% believe something and keep pushing it, the rest will adopt it.
Absolutely.
And that's why the globalists are so afraid. They're a tiny minority who've decided to join pure darkness for simple temporal power.
Absolutely.
Instead, and literally, what does it profit a man to gain the whole world and lose his soul?
Of course.
And it's only up to us that literally are tuned into the wider universe who see really how stunted the little man behind the curtain is.
Yes.
It's actually, years ago I hated the globalist. Now I cry in my soul to look upon them, because these are hunched, twisted, vampiric creatures.
They are. And we have to see them as reflections of our darker self, but at the same time realize that each and every person, just like Gandhi said when he went to India, he realized
has the seed of the universe within them.
He said every person has the seed of the universe within their soul. And every person listening to this show, they've already started waking up. And many of the people who listen to this show are totally awake.
And that's why Cass Sunstein at the White House admits they inject infighting and fake conspiracies and hatred to get us to fight with each other so people don't feel that magic.
Absolutely. But the magic is growing. More and more people are waking up to the political, the economic, the cultural lies of the predominant media. But what's even wilder is this game is bigger than just the economics or the political. It's a spiritual choice that we have right now. And you know what? I used to wake up really scared about that. I'd wake up in the middle of the night back, 10, 15 years ago thinking, they're coming to get me. And they could have. But I truly believe in the Creator, and I believe in protection. I know you've got protection. I know you talk about this all the time. And you wouldn't be here if you didn't have protection. And goodness will overcome. We are good people, the good people, and we're all good, but waking up to the goodness and the strength and the sustainability and the awareness and the joy that we have inside of us. Quit playing their games.
George, incredible. In the final summation, we should feel blessed to be in this great crossroads.
Yeah.
We are living in a time when the entire future destiny of this species that is only a seed right now is going to sprout into the universe, and the technocrats even write about it. They hate the idea of the general population, humanity, really spreading its wings. They have had a glimpse of the universe, and they seek through envy and jealousy to hoard it. It's up to us that know the truth to try to unlock minds so that they can see the wider universe. And undoubtedly, it has been quite a saga in this awakening. And there is a quickening in the awakening, and yes. I really appreciate you joining us. Of course, one of your books is 9/11, The Great Illusion, Endgame of the Illuminati, Our Choice, Fear or Love by George Humphrey. George, thank you so much. In a 60-second summation, any other points you'd like to add?
The window is, this is a magical time to be alive and be on planet Earth. An incredible time. And there's two reactions. We can retract in fear, which is what they're doing, putting out fear, bad food, chemtrails, all this stuff. And I understand that. Or we can connect with our higher spirits, our higher beings, create community, take good care of our personal bodies, and see this as a big wave to ride, and go out there and surf the tsunami. And I guarantee you, and you already know this, I'm guaranteeing this to you, my brothers and sisters, that the economic, the political, and the cultural changes that are going to take place in the next 3 years are going to make the last 15 years seem relatively small. Be prepared. Listen to Alex Jones. Have some good food. Buy some gold and silver. Hang out with your friends who are aware of this stuff. Love your brothers and sisters. And just keep joy in your heart.
You're absolutely right, George, because, again, it's one thing to